Mofield, and we're on the road again with our oral history microphone, and we're visiting Tommie B. Smith at his home at 16 Arizona Street in Calvert City. Mr. Smith, you have some of the finest plums out here I've ever seen.
Yeah, them plums is awful nice. There's lots of people come and get them, make jelly out of them. And
how many trees?
5.
And they
Elder Ray's been in. Elder Ray Smith, he come and got plums. Jelly every year.
Yeah. Well, that's great. I have never seen as many, and they're all beautiful. They're well filled out. You don't seem to have any blight or anything.
No, there's no blight and no worms. You never find a wormy plum. I've never seen a worm in. I spray them off about every 2 years.
Well, I was going to ask you if you spray.
Yeah, I spray about every 2 years.
And how old are you, Mr. Smith?
I was 80 years old last February. I was born in February the 22nd, 1905.
Well, I caught you out in the garden just now. Do you seem to have a big, fine garden?
My grandson planted that garden. He worked at the bank, and his beans and stuff's ready to pick me up. He don't have time to pick them. I just work in it when I feel like it, you know. I'll get out there and help him out when I feel like it.
Yes, sir.
It's really his garden. I didn't try to tend it for myself this time because I didn't need it.
Were you born in Marshall County?
Yes, sir. Close to Benton.
Close to Benton. And you grew up in that neighborhood,
yes,
I
sir.
suppose.
Yes, sir. Right there around. I moved to Calvert City when I was about 12 years old.
Mm-hmm. All right. Where did you go to school?
Well, I started school at Darnell. You know where Darnell School was?
No, sir.
In the flat woods out there.
I know about where that is.
Well, it's in there close to Nick Darnell. Did you ever know Nick Darnell?
No, sir.
You know, Layla Darnell and any of them Darnells. And so the girl was named Layla. And
I knew Arthur Darnell, of course.
Arthur was my cousin, but he was around Hardin, wasn't he?
Yes, sir. I knew a lot of
This is back
Darnell.
out in the Flatwood. And Ambers Thompson was my school teacher.
Ambers Thompson.
Yeah.
Well, very good.
You recollect him?
I certainly do.
He lived out there on the hill, right on top of Sinkhole Hill, right out there. That's where he lived.
Well, that made me wonder, perhaps, if you went to Church Grove some, but...
Yeah, I did. I went there to Naaman Dukes. You know Naaman Dukes?
I remember Naaman quite well.
He was my teacher there.
Of course, his son is named Naaman Duke Jr.
Yeah.
We always called him Junior Duke to distinguish him from his
I
father.
got what schooling I got. I had 4 teachers. Ambers Thompson, Naaman Dukes, Lucille Ely. Did you ever know Lucille Ely?
I didn't know her.
She taught at Benton.
Uh-huh.
Lucy Faust. Them was my 4 teachers that I had in school.
Well, you've got a perfect memory so far.
I remember every one of them and liked them all, loved them all.
That's great. Well, what did you like most about school?
Well, I always liked arithmetic.
Arithmetic. I believe Elder Ray Smith told me he liked arithmetic.
Yeah, I always liked that.
He used that and figured and became a contractor, carpenter, and so on. Well,
yeah, I knew Elder Ray a long, long time. We was raised up sort of together.
By the way, are you kin?
No, we're no relation. No.
You just share the name Smith with a lot of people.
Yeah. We lived right beside them in World War II, and they had a bunch of boys, and I had 3 kids, and we worked at the dam.
Mm-hmm.
And we run out of stamps. We couldn't get no meat, no lard. We were riding together to work. And we was coming in from work, and Elder Ray said, Tommie said, we're out of lard, and said, I ain't got no stamps to get no more, no meat. I said, well, how are you? I said, we're out too.
Mm-hmm.
I said, let's just kill a hog. It's in August.
Well, I didn't know you could kill a hog. Back then you didn't have a freezer, did you?
Didn't have no freezer, ice box, all we had.
Mm-hmm.
So we hooked on his trailer with my car, and we pulled out to Jacksonville and bought a hog, weighed 300 pounds, and come back. He had the boys put the fat on, heat the water, and we killed that hog, and my wife and Elder Ray's wife sat up all night, and they canned sausage. We ground it up in sausage and lard, made lard out of all of it, if we could.
Mm-hmm.
They canned the sausage and the ribs, you know. They was up all night long. And we killed 2. That boy stopped, that year.
So you worked it up so fast it didn't have time to spoil.
They canned it, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, we just went right through it all that night. Them women stayed up all night canning. And we had meat and lard.
And you had a wood stove.
Yeah, wood stove.
And in August, you know, I've wondered about my mother, and all the women of that generation, how they stood it. But they didn't know any better, and I suppose they didn't think that much about it.
They just had to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had a hard way to go, it seemed like, in a good way, and good times too. We had better times.
Well, I'm like you. I remember those days with a great deal of pleasure, even though they were in some ways very difficult. But one thing that I liked that my mother canned, and I suppose your wife did too, was tenderloin.
Yeah, tenderloin, yeah. Fry them, can them.
That's the best thing I ever ate in my life.
Yeah, I lived in 38, I think. Oh, 36. Down there on the river on Henry Smith. Old Ty Henry, they called him. You remember him? Govey, his daddy. And
yes, I remember Govey, certainly.
Govey and his daddy. He had a big farm down there. He wanted me. He'd go move cattle, and he wanted me to move on that farm. He had lots of cattle. He told me, said, I'll give you 60 cents a day, year round, Sunday, Monday, and every day. You just go around and take care of things. He said, I'm leaving chickens and hogs and cows, 5 or 6 cows. He said, I'll give you all the milk and butter you want, all the eggs you want, chickens to eat, anything down there, just go away and eat like I would, you know. And he give me...
That wasn't too bad a deal, was it?
He'd come down there and kill a hog, weigh 300 pounds. He came to and give me half of it and take half of it home with him. And I lived as good as I lived.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was pretty...
Just as though you owned the place,
Yeah,
you probably lived just as well as if you'd owned the place.
I worked there for him for several years.
Well, let's, before we get too far away from it, I want to help the genealogists a bit. Your father's name was what?
Jake Smith.
Jake Smith.
Yeah.
And your mother's name?
Josie Darnold. She was a Darnold.
She was a Darnold.
Yeah.
Josie Darnold Smith. Now, how many children were there in the family besides you, Mr. Smith?
It was 11.
11 of them.
12 of us in the family.
12 altogether.
8 girls and 4 boys.
Uh-huh. Well, with that many girls, did they spoil you boys?
No, we all made it pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're all gone, passed away now, but just me and 2 of the girls.
Uh-huh.
They're all deceased.
Well, I suppose your dad was a farmer.
Well, part of the time he railroaded on section work a lot. Several years he put in on section work.
You work on the Illinois Central? Or
he worked well, we lived there at Benton, that's the NC and St. L.
Worked from there to Hardin and Dexter and Murray and Long and...
Yeah, he worked on that.
Uh-huh.
No, he didn't work for he worked down there out of Benton there.
Uh-huh. All right, now, when you came along and had worked and gone to school, and when did you get married?
I got married when I was 20 years old. I forgot exactly the year.
Well, that would have been about 1925, in the middle 20s, somewhere along in there, I guess.
Yeah.
You said you were born in 1905.
1905, when I was 20 years old.
Uh-huh. And what did you first begin to do after you...
I farmed with my dad.
Uh-huh.
We farmed there for a few years. We moved to Preston and farmed up at Preston for a few years, and then we come back here in 37. We moved back down here to the river where Pittsburgh Metallurgical is now, that plant.
Yes, sir.
We moved on that place and stayed there. I stayed there 2 years. I lived there at 37 flood gun.
What kind of crops did you grow?
Tobacco and cotton, corn.
You also had cotton.
Yeah.
Was there a gin in Princeton?
Preston up there, we grew mostly barley, tobacco, you know, around there.
Yeah.
Tobacco was their biggest crop. We grew some cotton and corn.
And I've heard there was one time a gin in Benton. And they,
I believe there was one time a gin in Benton.
Took cotton there and got it processed.
Yeah.
I can barely remember the one cotton crop, the only one I remember my dad raised, the last one he ever did, and that was at Wadesboro. For we rented a place from Ruby Edwards. He had a cotton crop that year, and I was 4 or 5 years old, and he said, you know, I hate cotton. I don't believe I'll ever grow it again.
I never really liked to raise cotton. There's too much hoeing to do to it.
But I tell you, tobacco wasn't the easiest thing in the
No,
world.
tobacco wasn't easy, but you could handle
Did you
tobacco.
like worming and
No,
suckering?
I didn't mind suckering, but I never did like to worm tobacco. I always kept the kids ahead of me listening to them worm.
Right, whom did you marry?
I married Tom Russell's daughter, Susie Russell. People of Russell.
Did you have any children?
We got 3.
And all of them are still living?
Yeah.
Do they live here around here?
One of my daughters lives right here, in about 4 blocks of me. My son lives down here on the farm about a mile. My other daughter lives at Smithler.
Do they have any children?
Yeah, they've all got children. My boy just got 1 boy and 2 girls. My boy has 5. He has 6 children. And one of my girls has 5. And the other has 3.
You've got lots of grandchildren then, haven't you?
Yeah.
So they're a lot of pleasure to you
3
now.
grandsons in Navy now. One of them just got out. Another guy, he had 6 years in there, and he's in California. And he just got out. He'll be coming home pretty soon. The other's retiring in. Another one gets out in November, I think.
Did you have to go into service?
No, I had a brother. My oldest brother had to go to World War I. And I never did. I had to register, but I never did.
Never did have to go. You were sort of a period there where you were a little too young to go to that one and too old to go to the next one.
Yeah. My other sons went to World War II. He did 3 years and more. Saipan.
Now, how did you meet your wife? Was she from this county too?
Yeah, well, she lived over here by Al Tony, and I was cultivating. My dad was cultivating another farm down below where we lived, and she was walking up there, the road turned, and she'd come up there every day and get her mail, mail box.
Yes, sir.
She had to walk about half a mile about come up there and get her mail. That's where I met her, at that mailbox.
You were plying corn with a double shovel.
Yeah, right. We lived together 59 years.
Well, isn't that wonderful? That's just great.
59 years.
Yeah. Well, you had a happy life, and of course it's sad to think about having lost her. But I can just imagine that you showed a little more interest in her than you did the corn.
I learned that mule to stop when she came to mail.
Oh, that's precious. That mule was quick to learn.
Yeah.
And they'd take advantage of those things
Yeah.
too. Anything to get the rest
Yeah, I
of them.
made sure I wasn't down in the field about that time she come to the mailbox. I won't beat that in.
Yeah. Oh, that's wonderful. Now you
we had a wonderful life together.
Yes, sir. Did you you'd married along about 1925, and the Depression came on about 30, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33. Did you leave here and go to Detroit?
No, I never was in Detroit. I went to Cleveland, Ohio once to see about a job. It didn't work in it. Stayed up there 3 days and then come back home. That's the only place I ever went to hunting work. I always found something to do here.
Yeah. Now, you didn't farm all of your life, though, did you?
No. I worked TVA for about, when they started the dam up here, I worked for them about 5 years. And then I went to work for alloyed. It was.
Mm-hmm.
And I worked there 21 years and retired.
That was a good place to work.
Yeah, it was.
Of course,
I enjoyed
it's
it.
still operating under a different name,
Yeah,
I suppose. Or
It's
it changed hands a time or two.
SKW now.
Yes, sir.
Sauerkraut, I reckon.
Well, whatever it is, those plants coming in here made a big difference
Oh,
in
it did.
all of Marshall County.
It really helped me a lot. I'll tell you that them plants did.
Yes, sir.
21 years I worked down there. It really helped me.
And that qualified you for Social Security and probably a pension
Yeah,
also.
I got two pensions worked out down there.
Uh-huh.
Joe.
Very good.
Yeah, it's worth a whole lot to me.
Now, after you started working at TVA, you stayed there about 5 years. What did you do there?
I served an apprenticeship as a cement finisher. Worked as a cement finisher.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I did with TVA. And when they started building these plants, well, I quit TVA. I worked down there until they got that plant started as a cement finisher.
Uh-huh. You worked in the construction field
Yeah.
then.
Construction.
Did you ever work with Elsie Ray any?
Oh yeah, we rode together to work a lot, all the time. We lived like close together. The dam, when I was working building the dam.
Uh-huh.
We rode to work together all the time. I worked with him. He done carpenter work.
Yes, sir. All right, tell us what you can remember about Calvert City when you were growing up. Was it, see, they had a big store here, a big general store. Was that was Draffin's?
Drafton, Merton Luther Drafton. Well, I can remember when they run a shoe store up there. Mert worked, Luther, Mert, I believe, no, it's Luther, worked on the railroad and Mert run the shoe shop.
Mm-hmm.
I believe that's the way it was.
Yes, sir.
Just right above where the old store is now there. And they done that for years. And leather shop, harness, made harness, shoe shop. I believe Mert was the one that worked in there. One of them worked on the railroad and kept buying stuff, and they worked together. Yeah, I can remember when.
Sometime or other, they got a bank started.
Yeah, they got a bank started. Yeah.
Now, Mr. Draffin was also one time an automobile dealer, wasn't he?
Luther was, yeah.
Yeah.
Luther dealt in cars. And
then he became quite interested in bringing industry plants in here.
He worked hard for this industrial center, and Mr. Draffin done a lot of good.
Yes, sir. I went to school with his son, William Roy, up at Murray.
Yeah, William Roy comes to see us every time he comes in. He used to come every 2 weeks anyway, him and his wife. He works down Social Security office. No, not Social Security office. He works down unemployment office.
Uh-huh.
I see him every once in a while and talk to him. Think a lot of William Roy.
All right, tell us what you remember about Benton, for example.
Well, I remember, that's more about Benton. I remember back there when I used to walk up there and they'd bring everything, haul everything from Paducah on wagons and unload them. I'd be up there and they'd come in. I think it was Vic Mobley used to make trip Paducah every day with wagon.
Yes, sir.
Haul stuff up there and set his coca-colas and things out in front of the stores. If they're closed, I could see him setting them out there,
Yes, sir.
And I remember all that. And there used to be an old flour mill right there where I believe it was right where Fieldbeck and Canton Funeral Home is now. It was one time a big flour mill there.
Yes, sir. Well, someone told me that you wrote a song about the man who burned the Benton courthouse.
Yeah, me and another girl lived close to me together. We wrote one.
Do you remember anything about it?
Yeah, I think I can get the words all together. There's been so many heard about that, and they come and taped it,
Uh-huh.
And a lot of them wrote me letters and had me write it. Until I got a letter from a preacher over in Trigg County. Somebody told him he wanted a copy of it.
Yes, sir. Well, if you can think of it,
I can't say, I can't sing it and carry a tune to it. I believe I can get the words out.
Well, that'll be great. Sure.
Come on, you rounders, if you want to hear a story told of a county court clerk here. George E. Slaughter had an awful name with the match in the coal can. He won his fame. He went to Smith's grocery, got a coal can, carried it to the courthouse and called the flame. Was nothing else to Georgia but his awful name. He went down the road and was going some. The higher the flames got, the faster George run. Said, look out, boys, and let me go. I'll be in Paducah by #4. When he got Paducah, well, the sun began to shine. George then began to look for a place to dine. He found a place on the 12th of Broadway, and there he retired for a 3-hour stay. Well, they dug for Georgia until Friday at noon. At last they decided he'd gone in balloon. But the news came out that you all know that George was in old Cairo. When he got to Cairo, he rode back home. Says, come on, my honey, we'll be going some. But the cop got busy with a warrant in his hand, and they brought George back to the same old stand. They brought him back on the evening train. It was awful cold and drizzling the rain. His folks all met him with an awful wail, but they carried little George right on to jail. When George E. Slaughter was released on bail, Uncle Mac went in and turned him out of jail. And the judge turned to Georgie, and this is what he said. My son, it is a pity that you had not have died, for the Commonwealth of Kentucky is going to give you a ride.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you, that's
See that
great.
girl, I get out, go up there and tell, I just, about 19 years old, I get up there and evidence what was going on, you know, and tell them we just put it all together and wrote it out.
And wrote the song, and that tells the whole story. Well, that's really great. We appreciate that. And I had heard a number of people say that you were involved in a song that told the story of the burning of the courthouse.
This was a fellow here from Missouri. Well, I got a cousin lives up by me, little old Missouri. Him and my cousin come to see me, and he got his tape. He wanted it.
Yes, sir. Well, we don't have an awful lot of time left, but I'd like to. Were you ever sick a great deal, Mr. Smith?
Well, I've had back surgery and gallbladder surgery. And,
Tell us about some of the old-time remedies your mother used to cram down you. Did you have to take castor oil?
Yeah, take castor oil and asphalt. Go with asphalt around your neck, you know.
Yes, sir.
All that stuff.
You know, I've mentioned asphyxiation so much that Dr. McLean's daughter.
Yeah, I know Dr. McLean, he's been in my house many times.
Yes, sir. Well, Betsy found an old display of asafoetida.
Yeah.
And so she bought that and gave it to me because she'd heard me mention it on the radio so much. I'm real pleased to have it, of course.
If you have time on the tape, I like to put a little poem that I learned when I was second grade at school.
Oh, I'd love to have it. Yeah, sure, we have that. We got about 4 minutes. I just meant we were getting on toward the end.
I like to get that poem because a lot of people never heard it, and it's a true and a very nice little poem, you know.
Yes, sir. You go right ahead.
There was once a little chicken, and his friends were very few, for he thought there was nothing in this world but what he knew. He was always in the farmyard, had a very forward way, telling all the hens and geese and turkeys what they ought to do and say. Mrs. Goose, he said, I wonder why your garden you should let go out peddling in the water, it would kill them to get wet. And Mrs. Hen, he began at her one day, what makes you sit all the summer in your nest up on the hay? Why don't you come out in the meadow where the grass with seed is still? If I should, said Mrs. Hen, then my eggs would all get chill. No, they won't, replied the chicken, and no matter if they do. Eggs are really good for nothing. What's an egg to me or you? What's an egg, said Mrs. Hen? Could it be that you don't know? You yourself was rusting on eggshell just a little month ago. And if kind wings had not warned you, you would not been out here today telling us hens and geese and turkeys what we ought to do and say. Now be very wise and show it, are pleasant things, no doubt. But when young folks talk to old folks, they should know what they're talking about. I learned that when I was...
Oh,
and I never did forget it.
That is wonderful. That's great.
It always just stayed with me. I always thought it had a lot of truth to it.
Yes, sir. It's got a good lesson to it.
Yeah.
And that's some of the things we used to learn in school at, Darnell School, I guess, and Church Grove, and so on.
Yeah.
I remember they made us memorize a lot of poems when I was in school.
Yeah, nearly every week, so you'd have some to memorize.
Mm-hmm. In fact, they used to, you better not tell the Supreme Court, but we used to memorize a Bible verse. And the teacher would have us say a Bible verse.
Yeah, I can remember that.
And I remember a little boy that would always say, Jesus wept.
Yeah.
Of course, that was a Bible verse, the shortest verse in the Scripture. He thought that was funny because, of course, he only had to learn
I still
2
believe
words.
we ought to have more of that in the school with Mofield, but I don't know. I might be wrong.
Well, maybe we are, but it didn't kill us, did
No,
it?
it didn't hurt us a bit in the world.
Well, we have now just one more minute. Do you have any particular story you'd like to finish with? Have you got anything funny that happened to you, or your most embarrassing moment?
Well, not really. There's a lot of them too, but I can't think.
Can't think right now. Well, I tell you, Mr. Smith, it's been a real joy to talk with you, and we appreciate your allowing us to come. This is the home of Tommie B. Smith at 16 Arizona Street in Calvert City. This is Ray Mofield speaking on the Oral History Broadcast, returning you to our studios in Benton.